More unbelievable propaganda from the federal government paid for by you and me. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. As we reported last Thursday, the U.S. Department of Agriculture has hired a man named Samuel Betances to conduct, quote, cultural sensitivity training for USDA employees. Betances has used his paid position to demean the United States and to indoctrinate his captive audience.
I want you to say, if we work for a federal agency, say that.
If we work for a federal agency.
We have discriminated in the past.
We have discriminated in the past.
Mexicans came to this country last night and illegally. Never mind that the United States expanded and took over what used to be Mexico. If the truth be known, in a lot of these circumstances, if you tell some of these Mexicans, go back where you came from, they go to Texas, California, Arizona.
Now, the watchdog group Judicial Watch obtained that video and many others showing similar rants by Betances through the Freedom of Information Act. In 2012, documents show that sensitivity seminars were held at least 16 times, costing the taxpayer hundreds of thousands of dollars. So my question is, why is this happening? It's a total waste of taxpayer money and insulting to the country. Talking Points believes the reason stuff like this goes on is the culture of liberalism that has now gripped Washington. With a liberal president and Senate, the message has gone out, progressive thought is in. And you know what? That's fine if it's simply expression. But once the taxpayer gets charged for the propaganda, that's malfeasance. That's a misappropriation of taxpayer dollars. The direct villain here is USDA Secretary Tom Vilsack, former governor of Iowa. Very liberal guy. Vilsack is apparently committed to imposing liberal thought on the people who work for him. Note the word imposing. The nonsense put out there by Betances isn't challenged. The big picture here is that the Obama administration is not only espousing liberal policy, it is now demanding that federal employees toe the line. Again, that's not what the federal government's in business to do. It's supposed to represent all the people, not just the far left. I mean, this guy Betances is off the chart. Mexicans have a right to violate immigration law because of the Mexican-American War in the mid-19th century? Is that what the guy's saying? Yeah, that's what he's saying. And we're paying for it. Just another add-on to the $17 trillion national debt. I now pronounce the federal government officially out of control. And that's a memo. Now, the top story tonight, reaction. Join us in Washington, Tom Fitton, president of the aforementioned group Judicial Watch. And here in New York City, Alexis McGill-Johnson, the executive director of the American Values Institute. So, why should my tax money be going to this guy to say those things? Why?
I actually think it's very forward-looking for the U.S. government to be doing this, and I think we're quite behind where corporations have been doing for many years in terms of promoting cultural awareness and diversity training in the name of changing demographics in this country. I think
so you think it's a good thing. Give me one concrete reason why telling a crew to repeat after me, the federal government, the federal agencies have discriminated, and Mexicans have a right to sneak in the country because we took it over in the Mexican-American War, and the Pilgrims were illegal aliens, and on and on and on. Why is that worthy?
Okay, the guy's a little hokey in his training. I'm not going to argue against it.
He's a little hokey.
He's a little hokey.
Okay, hold on. He's a little hokey. You're giving me that. All right. So, he has an agenda, would you say?
What I would say...
Wait, does he have an agenda?
What he has is a...
an agenda.
What he has is a mandate to help employees of the federal government understand...
Look, he may have a mandate, but what he's doing, what you're seeing with your own eyes, Alexis, is a mandate, a political point of view. Or am I wrong?
No, it's not a political point of view.
It's not a political point of view.
What it is an understanding that most Americans are truly egalitarian beings, but we all hold biases. And acknowledging the fact that the federal government has played a role in some of these biases, things like restrictive covenants and
but that's not what he's doing.
Yes, he is. He's putting it in context. He's absolutely
He's basically
putting it in
saying,
context.
and he said this in his first tape, as Tom will point out in a moment, he said basically that the United States is not a worthy nation, all right? It's not. and that we in the Department of Agriculture have to somehow overcome that. That's a political point of view. You may believe that, but I don't want to pay for it.
That's not a political point of view.
Of course
it actually is the fact that the United States, first of all, these workshops were optional. Okay, no one was mandated to go to them. The second thing is that these workshops were really about trying to encourage federal employees to understand that our nation's demographics are changing. We're talking about the U.S.
Well,
Department
I think they
of
can read the paper and find that out.
We're talking about Latinas, right? But we're talking about an agency where
Tom has seen all the tapes. Tom, all right. So Alexis says benign, no problem. Betances may be a little clownish in his presentation, but this really isn't anything to get worried about. How do you respond to that?
Well, I think this is abuse of the government employees. He's forcing them to say these controversial things. I would never dream
as you
of
point
forcing
out,
your
it's an
guests to
optional. Isn't it an optional?
It wasn't optional.
It wasn't.
Our documents show that some of the folks there had to be there. One guy was thrown out for reading a book, according to an email we have, and he said, I want to read a book. I can read a book during this mandatory training. So the idea that it's optional is not accurate. And he's being paid so much money to do this, and you say he's kind of hokey. Well, you know, taxpayers are in debt as a result of hokey programs like this. $200,000 at the Department of Agriculture. If you go on the usaspending.gov website, he's made over $2.8 million from the Defense Department for programs like this.
And is it the same presentation with the Defense Department as with the USDA? Same kind of propaganda?
It's diversity type of presentations, yes. And
but we don't know if it's the same kind of stuff.
Not exactly. They've got plenty of tapes at the Agriculture Department they haven't given us yet that they're sitting on.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it would be surprising to me if the Defense Department would allow that kind of stuff to happen. Vilsack is the villain.
No. Oh, no.
Wait,
true.
Go
That's
ahead.
true.
Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah. That's true, and we've got, since this video first aired last week, we were getting emails from all over the government about programs like this and other agencies. This is par for the course, and we have uncovered quite the scandal here. These programs are not only system-wide within the Agriculture Department, but in these other agencies. And don't think the military doesn't force its employees to go through this type of training.
Have you filed FOIA's Freedom of Information Act on other tapes and other agencies? Have you filed?
That's right. He says in this tape the State Department has sent him down to Venezuela to tell them about what it's like to be an American.
Yeah. Well, that's
so
good.
we're asking the state for that contract.
Do you understand, Alexis, my point here, that I don't want to pay for this? All right, because I don't believe this is a fair presentation. I don't believe it's constructive. It doesn't do anything for the federal government. Do you understand? Now, you may disagree, and that's fine. I respect your disagreement. But I don't want to pay for that, all right? Do you understand that?
Well, I didn't want to pay for the federal bailouts, but I ended up paying for those. I think there are lots of things that we as Americans
don't want to support. But this is an option. Well, the bailouts are optional
things
too.
That we don't want to support, but we have to respect the leadership to
we have to respect the leadership.
To look at
who gets a guy like this in there.
Is going into, and like I said, we are far behind what corporations have been doing for numbers of years. Right. Because and you think
corporations are private enterprises; they can do what they want.
The military is a very diverse. One of the most diverse institutions that we should be proud of.
Here's the bottom line for you and for Tom. I want this guy, Betances, to come in here and sit where you're sitting. I will shred him verbally, shred him on all the history that he's putting forth. Shred him. I'll destroy him. And then when I do, I want Vilsack to pay me, what is it, Tom, $2.8 million? I'll come in and I'll do a diversity
$3.3 million total.
I'll do that. In fact, I'll do it for $2 million, and they can keep the change.
We have to live our values.
Right?
We have to live our
values. When
I
shred this guy in front of the nation,
really
Betances, and he'll never come in here because he knows he can't stand up to the facts. I'll shred him, and then Tom Vilsack can hire me, and I'll do the diversity. Is that fair? Is that fair? I'll do the diversity because I'm a diversity kind of guy.
Yeah, I see that.
Johnson, Mr. Fidget, thank you.